Psychics, how do they work? That's the thing, they don't. Unless you're Sean Spencer. No, even him. No. So, Sean Spencer, Psych, the show, Psych. Simple premise. That's not what we're watching, but, how to do it right. Sean Spencer, basically, he had a father who was a policeman, and his father trained him to notice the smallest detail in everything. This dude can enter a room and he'll notice, like, oh, the smallest little crack on a picture frame 10 feet away. The dude is insane when it comes to detail. So he goes into the police station saying that about the thing he just watched, with a guy who saying, oh yeah, the place has been robbed, but it was like the guy who was on the report right there. And they're like, oh, well, you know an awful lot about this. And, oh, he had an accomplice. So that instead of, trying to really explain how he could figure this out, he just says he's psychic. And then he does a little thing to make it seem like, oh, this person I saw before, practicing dancing, and I know it's for a wedding. So I'm going to, oh, when's the day? When's the wedding date? Blah, blah, blah. And he, like, blows everyone away with his psychic ability. But unlike Sean Spencer, who's good at what he does, these people are not. Cold reading, that's usually how you see psychics doing this. Generally, it's in a large room, and I did a video about this ages ago. Large room. So, for example, cold reading, you have a room full of, I don't know, 200-300 people. And then you start throwing out vague, general statements like, someone has lost someone recently. Well, duh, you're going to have that many people in the room. It's guaranteed that someone has lost a mom, a dad, a brother, a friend, and recently, could be any span of time. It could be the last couple of days. It could be a week. It could be a month. It could have been the last year. It's such a vague description of and then everyone's like, oh my God. And then it's always, it's that someone's having financial issues. Who the hell isn't having financial issues? Like, really? But then you get these psychics one-on-one with someone. No, they can't do it. They can't. Unless they're really good, like a Sean Spencer good, who are smallest details that they can't do it, and they break. And you're going to see at the end of this, oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's not as dramatic as you would want it, but just the sensation and the feeling of exposing these pricks, because these people make hundreds of thousands upon millions of dollars every year, basically preying on the hopeless. They prey on the families who are trying to find their loved ones. Their children are missing or whatever, and they prey on them. Like, I'm a psychic. I can tell you exactly where they are, and then it's always like, oh, they're dead. They've been dismembered, and they've been eaten a lot. They were eaten by wild coyote. It's always doom and gloom. It's like, oh, that'll be $10,000, please, for my services. So while these families are grieving, these people are making bank, and it's fucking disgusting. But luckily, this is only 4 minutes long. So just the simple premise of psychics are bogus. And people who call psychic hotlines just don't. But
it is heartbreaking, a situation that thousands of parents find themselves in every year. Their child is missing. Grief-stricken parents will turn to just about anyone, even so-called psychic detectives. So Lisa Guerrero and the I-Squad put some prominent psychic detectives to the test. Are they selling false hope?
I would tell her that I love her and I miss her.
A tearful plea from the mother of a missing teen. John and Joanne Lowitzer have been searching for their 17-year-old daughter, Allie, since she vanished last year.
What do you think happened?
But when the case made national news, The Houston parents say they became inundated with calls from so-called psychic detectives. They say some even showed up at their front door, promising their psychic visions could help bring Allie home.
He guaranteed me that he'd find Allie in 3 days. I mean, what parent wouldn't be excited to hear that you're going to have your daughter home in 3 days?
Mark Klass, whose daughter Polly was abducted and killed more than 20 years ago, warns families to avoid psychics, saying they prey on the desperate.
They descend like vultures.
And send police on one wild goose chase after another.
Never in the history of the world has a psychic solved a missing child case. Never.
But countless psychic crime fighters, like Portland, Oregon clairvoyant Lori McQuarrie, claim they've helped solve hundreds of missing persons cases.
I've been in business with this for over 30 years.
So we decided to see what would happen when we asked a psychic detective to help solve a missing persons case. Posing as the distraught brother of a missing child, we sent our producer, Charlie McElravy, to meet with Lori McQuarrie.
Hi, how are you? Very nice to meet you, Lori.
We showed her a photo of this missing girl, and she agreed to take the case for $400.
But I think it's solvable.
But what Lori didn't know was that the photo our producer gave her was actually a childhood photo of me. And obviously, I'm very much alive.
I don't.
It's so good. It's so good. And then watch this little fucking weasel trying to justify and like, oh man, I've got a stomach ache. Ooh. It's so good watching these people get exposed. Medium exposes herself. But yeah, I cannot stand these people. I cannot stand these people. Same thing with freaking like churches and stuff with those, you know, you see the commercials, the healing water. Just stop. Just fucking stop. Because they know there's people who are so desperate to alleviate themselves of any kind of pain or like, oh yeah, smear this miracle water all over your face and by tomorrow you're gonna get like $1 million. If that's what you want, you're gonna like $1 million. It's like, yeah, miracle water is somehow gonna cause me to become a millionaire overnight. Shut the fuck up. But psychics, again, $400 for a wild goose chase. I mean, come on.
I don't believe she's alive. I'm sorry. I believe that it was a violent passing.
McQuarrie's sixth sense told her the girl was brutally murdered and sexually assaulted.
I think she was hit in the head with a rock.
But her visions didn't end there.
I think she can be brought home.
Pointing to a remote spot on this map, she even said she could help bring her body home.
And maybe even a mile or two from there.
The next day, McQuarrie sat down for an interview with me to talk about the work of psychic detectives.
I just had a gentleman in yesterday. 30 years ago, his sister disappeared.
She soon began talking about a recent case, but clearly her psychic abilities didn't tell her that I was the girl in the picture.
One of the first things I do in a case, Lisa, is I always make sure people know that if I feel the person is living or not.
So you'll always know,
Yes.
when you talk to a family member, when you start a case, you'll know if this person is dead or
Yes.
alive.
And that's the point, is that
Every time.
Yes.
But apparently her psychic abilities didn't see this coming.
Lori, I'm going to show you something,
Okay.
okay?
Yes.
Does this girl look familiar to you?
Yeah, she does. I work this case.
This is a girl who you said was beaten and killed.
Okay.
This little girl is me. And you told somebody that she's dead.
Wait a minute. You didn't disappear?
She's like, I'm sitting right here, aren't I? I'm sitting right here.
I'm right here.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
How do you explain being
I
completely
can't
wrong?
explain it. I can't explain it.
You're charging them hundreds of
Okay.
dollars.
You know what, dear? I
Hundreds
think
of
we're done.
dollars. You're taking advantage of
Okay.
desperate people with a bunch of hocus
Okay.
pocus, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I think we'll go. Thank you. It's been an interesting experience. You all have a lovely, lovely evening.
Until I see my daughter physically, I'm not going to believe anything that any of them say.
All told, 10 different psychics told our producer that Lisa had been murdered. And the FBI says to Inside Edition that they are not aware of any criminal investigation that has been solved as a direct result of information provided by a psychic.
You want to know who could psychically solve a case? Sean Spencer. Psychic vision time, baby. If you haven't watched Psych, you should really watch it. It really is one of the best shows. I'm sure there are some people watching me who are some psychos. Welcome. But yeah, you saw her at the end. She's like, "Oh well, that's interesting. Tell me more." No, she's like, "That's interesting. I can't explain it. I can't explain that. I mean, I clearly saw this girl in my mind, and she had been brutally taken out of this world. But apparently you say you claim to be the person. So were there any resurrection spells casted recently? Have we discovered time travel? An alternate timeline where you weren't murdered? I mean, and then of course, like all cowards, she can't justify what she's doing. She knows she's taking money from innocent people who are desperate to find their kids and loved ones and all that. And instead of trying to justify, she just gets up and leaves like, it's been a very interesting experience. I can't stand these people. I cannot fucking stand these people. These are some of the worst people on the planet because they prey on the innocent. You know? And what's even worse is there are people who believe in it still. Again, apparently psychic hotlines are still a thing. They're still a thing. But just her face, she's like, you didn't disappear? I'm right here, aren't I? Oh, that's very interesting. Well, you know, sometimes when I'm tapping into the spirit realm, sometimes there's so many names that come to me, so many voices that are coming to me. Sometimes, you know, I think I'm hearing one voice, but it's actually someone, because the spirit realm, you know, they're little tricksters. You know, have you ever watched those psychic spirit box videos? Spirits are tricksters. They'll pretend to be a person when it's not actually them. They're little tricksters. So I'm thinking I'm talking to this person. They're like, "Oh yeah, I've been murdered," and it's actually someone else. So, you know, when you link up to the psychic realm and the spirit realm, you know, it's kind of hard to defer. What's one, what the other, and I mean, that would have been a better fucking excuse than I think we're done here. No. It's been interesting. I mean, talking out of your ass and saying some stupid shit like that would have at least been respectable. But instead, she gets up like a coward because she knows, all these psychic mediums know, that they're fucking bogus. They know they're full of shit, and they make millions upon millions of dollars every year from either small, you know, from people like, you know, simple mother and fathers to like fucking government level. It's fucking ridiculous. But as long as there are others around who believe that these individuals have psychic abilities, they're not going to stop. The only time they're going to stop is if they're all exposed and shown for the fucking frauds they are, and to tell people, hey, psychics do not exist. None of these people have ever solved a crime. None of these crimes in the history have never been solved with psychics. And there's a reason why, because they don't exist. But that ending, just that little girl is me. Nani? But just don't be this person. Don't be this person, and don't be desperate enough to turn to one of these people. Especially it's like a hotline. They're all gonna say, "Oh, you're gonna come into a great financial situation soon, or you're gonna find love." It's like really vague description there. You're supposed to be a psychic tapping into the cosmic powers of the universe. You can tell me a little bit more, right? Like, what's he gonna look like? Or what's she gonna look like? How much money? How's it gonna happen? But no, you're just gonna come to money soon. Or you're gonna find love, or, you know, something you're gonna experience a major event in your life. Well, that could be anything. Especially if they don't say if it's good or bad. A major event. The loss of a loved one. Financial gain. Losing a job. Moving. Your car getting totaled and you not having a car anymore. I mean, taking a trip. I mean, that's so vague. And people are like, really? A major event? Just... Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. That ending was perfection. Perfection. It sums all of these people up so well. It really does. But anyway, if you haven't watched Psych, I highly recommend it. It's a great show. And if you already are a psycho, favorite episode. I mean, I can list many. I mean, I don't think there really is any bad episode. There's really good ones and then good ones. Oh, love that show. Is that Mauricio in there, Gus? But, yeah. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.